This event, Research Summit, has given me opportunities to share my writings and has allowed me to collaborate with colleagues, students, and this time with an award-winning writer. The contents of our book seek to draw attention to the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDG, and to show the value in raising awareness to its agenda. Thus, the contents of our book focus on the themes related to SDGs such as peace, justice, and strong institution. Specifically, all literary pieces highlight the right to freedom of information and share each and everyone's opinion, promote inclusion and respect towards people of different ethnic origins, religions, gender, sexual orientations, or different opinions. Through this, written pieces can inspire and help to improve conditions for a life of dignity for all. It is my honor to work with Sir Ariel Sotelo Tabag, a bilingual Ilocano fictionist, poet, editor, translator, and musician. He has received multiple Don Carlos Palanca Memorial Awards, National Commission for Culture and the Arts, Writers' Prize, Komisyon sa Wikang Filipino Awards, National Book Development Board, National Book Awards for Ilocano Fiction and other Ilocano literary contests for his Ilocano short stories, novels, and poems. He is also a fellow to the 41st UP National Writers Workshop and a delegate to the Philippine Writers Festival and speaker in the 6th Philippine International Literary Festival. He also served in numerous associations such as Gumil Filipinas, Union ng mga Manunulat sa Pilipinas, and in the Filipino Academy of Movies, Arts, and Sciences. As a musician, he received third prize for his song Kailan, and current member and composer of the bands Mozart, Pilo, Samtoy, and Manong Diego. He finished AB Philosophy at Our Lady of the Angels Franciscan Seminary cum laude and served as a faculty member at St. Francis School.
It is with pride and honor to introduce our book entitled Haraya, an anthology of essays, memoirs, speeches, stories, and poems in English and Filipino, published by Sanyata Publications. This book is a collaborative project of yours truly, Ariel Sotelo Tabag, and my dear friend, Dr. Larry Javier Ambion, Chairperson of San Beda University, College of Arts and Sciences, Department of Languages and Literature. Dr. Ambion has published papers about language policies, phonetics, literary theories, and linguistic landscapes. He earned his master's degree at the De La Salle University and doctoral degree at the Ateneo de Manila University. An educator, he has been teaching English and literature for almost 17 years, of which 14 years are in San Beda University. Meanwhile, our book Haraya is a collection of various creative works in English and Filipino, envisioning the attainment of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and the education for sustainable development. The non-fiction works dwell on the social realities, while the fiction works dramatize the plight of the people. All these works gear toward an inclusive, developed, and sustainable society. We, the authors, believe that through these creative collaborative works, we're able to articulate and demonstrate that while we are in this challenging time, goals are attainable in our here and now. For the creative presentations, San Beda University La Literatura Vedista Artist has prepared an interpretation of these works. They are first year to fourth year AB literature students, namely Victor Victoria, Alaysa Tenefrancia, Kyle Gorayev, and Julia Francisco and Revan Reyes. Friends, let us welcome the San Beda University La Literatura Vedista artists.
Nations bled in pursuit of your prospects. Battles lost and won in the name of peace. Laws bent at the coveting of justice. Bricks and walls struck down at the vision of an everlasting federation. Crimson-shrouded centuries and decades paved the way for your promises, while the notion of your tainted honor birthed silver-tongued devils that further painted nations red. Deviants carried your name, and the devils claimed them threats to your image. And from their lips bloomed the hope you promised, a glimpse of the paradise you pose. And from lips to pens blossomed songs that heralded the coming of your Elysian fields. One of the colors of the future, people, Victor Victoria's call for peace.
Right here, right now, in this place, there's no one like you. And that's not an area for shame. In fact, it's something we should all hold in high esteem. Out of 7 billion people in the world, there's no one quite like yourself. In this world, where everyone is forced to conform, it is a rebellion in itself to be undeniably you. Because the world needs more frontiers instead of followers. From my vantage point, I see young faces alight with joy and contentment. I see the faces that one day will be the faces of our next teachers, lawyers, engineers, senators, or even the next president of the Philippines. These are also the faces of individuals who possess different skills. If I were to use a cliche, I'd say that's just as well. Because a machine, a human body, would not be able to accurately function if one of its pieces were to be broken or gone. Conformity sometimes takes away from our individuality. The need to fit in gets in the way of our own growth. So I say, let us embrace what makes us different. It doesn't matter if you're a year older or younger. It doesn't matter if your ancestry is mixed with foreign blood. It doesn't matter where you come from, your gender, your color. All that matters is your passion. The very same passion and dedication that has brought you here today. Truly, there's unity in diversity. Education is for everyone, as it is not a privilege but a basic human right. It doesn't matter if you're different, all of us are. The fact that everyone deserves a decent education, despite of our differences, proves that we shouldn't be ashamed of our uniqueness. The things that make us unique do set us apart, yes, but ultimately, it brings us closer to the people around us. Because there's unity in diversity, where education isn't a competition, and school isn't an arena, but rather a melting pot of talents, skills, and personalities, where one person helps another, not only to find their potential, but to work so that that skill, that talent, doesn't remain simply as potential. At a young age, I learned that, despite whatever circumstance life brings me, there is always room to grow. I also learned the value of education. Despite having difficulties, I never took my studies for granted. I always remembered what I was taught, and I was always so thankful for all my teachers and really everyone who has helped me throughout my journey, especially my family, my parents. Ang taong hindi marunong lumingon sa kanyang pinanggalingan ay hindi makararating sa kanyang paroroonan. Remember all the people who have helped you reach where you are today. Remember your teachers and all their hard work and patience in molding your mind and character. Remember your parents and all their tireless, selfless sacrifices out of love for you. And of course, never forget the Almighty. My journey has been a long and fruitful one. It really has been a great ride, but its end is not many decades away. But you are the spring of your youth. What great mysteries life has in store for you is anybody's guess. Will one of you be the next provincial mayor of Amadeo? Will one of you invent a way to end world hunger? Will someone of you be the way towards lasting world peace? Do not ever think that you will not become something great one day. I never knew, nor even dreamed that I'd be where I am today. But God works in mysterious, miraculous ways. Thank you.
The past called to her, and from her mind to lips rang the ghosts of its glooms. Hear her, Eliza Tenefrancia's song.
Malamig at tahimik ang sementeryo sa sulok ng pook. Habang sa iyong bangungot, umaalingaw-ngaw ang alulong. Sa mga malalamig at madidilim na lansangang nilisan, nagtutudyuan ng mga alikabok at bilas ng liham, sapagkat nangangambang madikit sa lupa o bakal. Malansa ang daratal na amihan, pagal maghahabol ng hininga at mangangarap sa pagligtas ng habagat. Kahapon siya ng karaniwan. Isinuka ng telebisyon ang mga kaguluhan ng daigdig at ng lungsod at nayon. Nagpapalakpak ang kawan ng mga matching ang sambayanan sa hilakbok ng taong walang pangalang bigla na lamang tumalon mula sa ika-77 palapag at mistulang lantang dahon na lamang sa kalawakan at sa bawat palad. Nakipagtitigan ka at sumanib sa iyo ang balintataw na naghahanap at naghahangad ng pahingaang bukal. Nahintakutan ka sa pagaspas ng mga along di napapagod. Nagabangkang si tahit hatulan ng kidlat ng iyong haraya. Pinaghandaan mo ang pandudurog ng kulog sa iyong loob. Subalit, nilinlang ka lamang ng hamog na biglang umasngaw bago pa man sana lumantad sa palad ng abuhing talulot. Tinatamad bumangon ng linggo, pagal, hinahapo sa paghintay sa pagdating ng araw ng pahinga. Ano ba ang pinagkakaabalahan ng langit sa tag-araw? Samantalang nasaksihan naman nito ang lahat ng nangyari. Dinudungaw ba nito ang mga mamamayang di magkakilanlan sa playa ng puting karagatan habang nagpapatyanod ng pilak? Habang hindi mo maaninag ang mga nagtilamsikang dugo at ang mga patalbog-talbog na pag-iyak at pag-agaw buhay? Libo-libo na ang pumanaw, subalit ikaw lamang ang nagtatakat nagdududa. Banal pa rin ang bawat isa. May sagupaan sa iyong panaginip habang ang mga pinuno ginagawang biro ang digmaan. Matititigan mo sa balintataw ng walang pangalang tao. Hinahanap pa rin ang hantungan nitong bukal. Dadalawin ka ng takip-silim at sa iyong sentido mag-oorasyon ang butiking. Iaadyang muli ang tuguang pagaman nanginginslap na gabi. Habang hinahalughog ng ingay ang bawat sulok ng lungsod, sa bangungot na lamang aalingaw-ngaw ang alulong.
And now, a rest from poems of troubles of prospects. I give you Kyle Gorayev's Buhay si Jesus.
Buhay si Jesus, bungad ko sa aking asawa. Pero lulugo-lugo ako ng tungo papunta sa dati naming tindahan na naging bodega na sa mga binibenta sa online ng aking mag-ina. Naalala ko pa kung paano nagsimula ang dating tindahan. Hindi ko na kayang pangasiwaan ang aming kantina sa loob ng eskwela ni Michael. Kaya nakiusap na ako sa aming landlord na kung pwede ay gawin kong sari-sari store ang espasyo na nakalaan sa parking sa tagiliran ng aming nirerentahang unit. Pero maya't maya, maktol ng asawa ko ang kawalan ng seguridad sa aming tindahan.
Kabubukas ko lamang ng bagong tindahan. Bago mag-alas 5 ng madaling araw, ang bibili. Tinanong ko kung ano bibili niya. Yellow, yun ang sabi niya. Dadampi ko sa mata ni Mama. Black eye eh. Sinuntok na naman ng asawa. So tinanong ko, anong pangalan ng tatay mo? Yung totoo yung hindi palayaw. Angelo, yun ang sabi niya.
Angelo? Angelo ang pinangalan ni Teodyong sa kanyang anak. Bunso naman nila nanay si Teodyong. Pero, taksiat ang apelyido din ng nanay at ni Teodyong. Kaya pinagpag ko muna na mumuong duda ko sa ama ni Jesus.
Hanggang isang araw, umaambon ng araw na yun. Andun kami ng asawa ko sa labas ng store nag-uusap na may narinig kaming atungal ng babae. Hinumpas ng binatilyo ang babae sa ulo gamit ang maliit na sanga ng puno na hawak nito. Nagulat ako sa narinig ko. Nagsisisi ako na hindi ko pinakinggan ang asawa ko tungkol sa pagpapakabit ng seguridad sa aming tindahan. Madaling araw na yon, pagkatapos ng bagong taon, pinasok ang store namin. Halos maubos ang laman. Sa CCTV ng barangay, 2 lalaki ang pumasok sa store. Noon ko lang nalaman na hindi pumunta si Jesus para tumulong. Posible pang ang lookout ng tarantadong patay. Di ka kasi naniniwala sa akin eh. Yan ang paulit-ulit na sinasabi sa akin ng asawa ko. Hanggang sa nakatanggap ako ng tawag mula sa delegado hospital, hiningi ko na rin kung pwede ko makausap si Jesus sa telepono. Di naman ako nagnakaw ng tindahan yun, sabi niya. Yung huli lang po, napilitan na ako kasi sabi niya, pag di ko ginawa, may masama siyang gagawin kay Mama. Linggo, pagkatapos namin makapag-ayos sa bago namin nilipatan na bahay sa Bukawi, nakatanggap ako ng tawag mula kay nanay. Tawagan ko raw at puntahan ko ang pinsan ko sa mundi. Nabilanggo. Nagbenta raw ng drugs. Eh, Nay, anong pangalan? Angelo.
Yet another song that beats the troubles of the promises of the future. Anne Francisco and the strings that heralded the rhythm of the crying forces beneath and above.
Nasusulat na may sariling kalinangan ang kalikasan, hindi pagpapabaya ang pagpapaubaya sa lupa, upang magpahinga pagkatapos magluwal ng biyaya. Maingat nitong inilalaan ang bawat tag-araw habang hinihintay ng tag-ulan ang muling pagdalaw ng mga ulap. At kailangang litisin ng haring araw ang mga suwail na damo, ang mga pabayang halaman. Kailangan parusahan ng mga palalong damong ligaw, mga pesteng nilalang, mga sakunang nagagalak tuwing nakakapagdulot ng sakit. May nakalaang pook para sa ulyahaw ng habagat at amihan. Buhay at walang hanggan ang kahulugan ng anumang pagniniig sa kaligayahan. Hindi kasalatan ang parang may karangyaang na ibabahagi sa matyaga o sa nagbabanat ng buto. Malawak na ang nasakupan ng mga lipunan, napatag ang mga bundok at kabuting nagsulputan. Ang mga gusali umiksi ang sandali at hininga, bagaman nasisiyasat ang lihim ng immortalidad. Habang nag-iipon pa rin ng lakas ang mga hayop, samantalang hindi naaagnas ang tiyaga ng mga binhi. May mga nawawagli. May mga natutupok sa darang ng umiinog ng mundo. Subalit, ang naiiwan sa parang, nabubuo sa pagkatuyo at sumisibol ng panibago.
Now, to cut this string of unsung laments, ballads, harangues, to the finish, Reverend Reyes' taste of life's drudgery.
Tired. He has always been tired. Tired of the same old routines, same old faces at work, same old stress. Yet, today was different. His soreness was accompanied by triumph and fulfillment. In his grasp was his first publication as the lead writer. He sighed as he shut the car door. Finally, it was Friday. Friday means he could go home. He looked at the rearview mirror, flicked back his limp hair, took a deep and shaky breath, and shot out a text to his mother. It made him smile contentedly to think of his loving mother, patient and ever gentle. As he slowly manipulated his car in reverse, he felt how tired he was. Mother can wait a few more hours, and besides, it's the first time I won't be coming home on Friday, he thought. Tired. When he stumbled home, he placed the newsletter by the bedside table, and let sleep claim him as he passed out on his bed. A few hours after, his phone rang. Groggily, he answered it. Hello? And that was the only word he uttered all the while. Numb and aching, he padded his way to the bathroom, turned on the shower, and wept. Showers were convenient, as he never knew whether the water streaking down his face were his tears or the droplets from the shower head. Robotically, he dried himself up, dressed, and crawled into bed. This time, he was not so lucky. His tears spilled as a dam had burst. How could he sleep, knowing his own mother had chosen to sleep eternally? He was lost, alone, and so damn afraid. What had pushed her into taking her own life? Why didn't I go home as I used to do? Friday, on the dot. Out of all the damn days to choose not to go home, why had I chosen today? Regrets racked his brain. Guilt flooded his conscience, and grief invaded his heart. Since the phone call, he felt as if his body had been robotically moving, packing bags, tossing and turning as he tried and failed to sleep, and staring blankly at the road ahead of him as he drove his way home. Tired. The once familiar gate loomed over in the distance. His sister stands by the doorway, his mirror with this grief. From this distance, he could pretend everything was okay. He could pretend that his mother is right by her room, awaiting his return. He could pretend that a plate of carefully cut pineapple slices is at the kitchen counter, waiting for him. He could pretend that she wasn't dead and that they weren't orphaned. But such is life. One could pretend only for so long. He took a deep breath and walked toward his sister.
She kept asking for you countless of times. She asked me to prepare a meal for you once you get home.
His mother never really used the stairs anymore, with kneecaps as weak as crumbling ice cups. But miraculously, she was able to push her way to the top, up to his room, and with just enough strength to tie a noose by the ceiling. It was how she died. Asphyxiation. How could her aching esophagus, trachea, and lungs fight against the only remaining strong thing about this woman? Her will to end the pain. Truth be told, it wasn't her fault. It wasn't his fault. It wasn't anybody's fault. Tired. Eulogies don't actually ever get delivered. Words feel useless when she's too out of reach. In lieu, he wasn't able to deliver his eulogy. His cheat sheet was crumpled and carelessly tucked inside his coat pocket. Instead of talking, he sang. He sang of his love lost. He sang and hummed, for even when the lyrics his mother used to sing to him were gone, the melody remained haunting. Now he can say he has experienced all the kinds of being tired there is. Every day he kills himself a little bit more. He dawdles in social interactions. He neglects self-care. He lets the fog inside his brain thicken. Years and months later, layers of dust have settled and the newsletter remains untouched.
Now beaten, sung, and finally heard, may these songs carry to the wind to inspire and bring about the waking of a new tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, the brilliant minds from the Department of Languages and Literature. Oh, sweet, peaceful, just, unwavering